All right, GR200. So hopefully you got a feel for the reading about why population aging matters, and it certainly does. And uh, and this is kind of just a first exposure, and as each week goes by, we're going to get more and more in depth with this stuff. Okay. All righty. So we did part one. We're going to do part two. A lot of topics were covered. Topics like shifts in populations. We're going to look at the United States in particular right here in this next week right here. Um, we're going to do a shift into biology after that, okay? And then we will eventually get back into more of the economic explanations that were touched upon in the very first part of the reading of why population aging matters. All right, so we're gonna make sure you guys have a real sound base in all this stuff. Okay, so when we look here, okay, why population aging matters, we go to the second part of the turning off my phone because it's making noise here of the reading assignment. Okay, I've already clicked on it to download it. Okay, and so what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go right into the reading. Okay, and we'll go full screen right now, and there I am. Okay, so we ended the last time. Okay, we were looking at, just to kind of review a little bit. Again, this is too large. Okay, too small. Awesome. So we're looking at the shift in the population, okay? And again, this is a big interactive dynamic right here, where we see older people beginning to dominate the landscape, and a decrease in the fertility. And there was a lot of discussion in these readings about that impact, okay? Well, comparing the different countries. We were in this chapter right here, and I'm kind of racing through the expansion of the older individuals. 85 and above was something that was earmarked as being the fastest growing age group. But again, this is a huge age group that's growing too, but it's just much smaller in numbers. Not that many people live to be centenarians. And then I touched upon the growing problem of chronic disease. Okay, and it's a consequence of having an aging population is we're going to start seeing age-related diseases. And we were discussing high-income countries, okay, developed versus undeveloped countries, and how the transitions are happening, and major leaps and bounds in terms of chronic disease affecting these low-income populations. We then got into this concept of population decline, okay, and just a shift in the dynamics and what it does to the country. And so, compared to when I was growing up, society adjusted. Okay, I was a baby boomer, so they were building schools right and left, elementary schools, high schools. They were building, they meaning the government. That was when the California State College system just erupted. The University of California system erupted to accommodate this gigantic bulge in our population. That was the baby boomers. And now we're going to see a bulge in the population of older Americans that reflects all of us getting older, and society having to adapt to that again. And you see it all around. In my neighborhood, we see just a number of different tiers of living facilities that are marketed towards older Americans. Some need more care than others, and it's big business. Okay, alrighty. So how about how it's going to affect you? Okay, your family structure. All right, this important concept of caregiving. And we're going to have whole sections on caregiving, just to let you know. Okay, alrighty. So we can look at a country that had accelerated shift in aging, the balance of young people to old people. We're going to go over this a lot. So there's a dramatic decrease in fertility in Japan. Many people are choosing not to have any children whatsoever. And so you can look here at this graph and look at the living situation, what the biggest growth has been. And we see in the 60s, okay, not very many people, not a high percentage of people lived alone or were in an institution where assisted living facility type of institution. Okay, we see that there's the big growth right here is people living alone on a percentile basis, more people in institutions, living with the spouse only, and the children are playing a far less role. They're out there living in the city, trying to get ahead. Okay, so this is a big shift in terms of generational structure. Okay. Alrighty, so in this particular section right here, we're looking at a change in the patterns of work and retirement. And so it's a big deal that policymakers are struggling with, okay, because it has to do with pensions and the responsibility and burden that government has in terms of paying older people to stay financially secure. Okay, and so we see these bullet points right here. Again, I'm not going to read this for you. I'd like you to go ahead and read through it. But we're seeing these with the life expectancy increases. Okay, we're seeing big changes in the years, the workforce, the changes in the work years in retirement. It wasn't that long ago people used to retire at 55 years of age in our country, and now people are staying in work until they're in their 70s. Okay, and we can see this dramatic transition that's happening right here. Again, the data is going to change based on the study. So there's lots of different studies that this particular reading was developed in 2017 from. But we're seeing, again, we're looking at people that are aged 55 to 64, okay, and the transition going from 1994 to 2005, and that age group, like I said, people used to retire, okay, and we see that more and more women are staying in the workforce, okay. In fact, the tendency is that women are trying to get back into the workforce after their children leave to go to college, okay. More and more men are having to stay longer in the workforce. Okay. Now, in terms of policy and government, the real big problem was when governments were doing well and people were not living as long. They set up these programs of government support, entitlement programs. Ours is like our Social Security, but beyond that, there were major pension systems based on a taxation of the population, and then a bundle of those tax dollars went towards either France or Italy's Social Security system. Okay, and so there was a major incentive to leave the labor force because you were going to have a great pension waiting for you, something that you did not have to put away, that the government would pay for. Okay, and to get people out of the workforce and have them replaced by younger people. So we're looking at, again here, looking at the percentage of men 55 to 65 not working, and that's what this scale is right here. Okay, and we see that France, Belgium, Italy, and the Netherlands are burdened now financially. Okay, in terms of the government in paying for these individuals that were incentivized to leave the workforce, whereas there is very limited incentive in Japan and in the US, and it's actually declining more and more. Okay, alrighty. So why is this happening? Why is the US and Japan moving towards less and less support, a pension system? And these countries are going bankrupt because of their pension system. So how do you fix that? Okay, and so that is a big deal. We've heard it time and time again in our country in terms of the sustainability of old age social insurance systems. So this would be our entitlement programs. Okay, so this would be Social Security and Medicare. Okay, so again, this chapter is going to go through. It's global, so it's going through lots and lots of different countries. But we see here, in terms of the expenditures of the gross domestic product. Okay, so this is the total expenditure of that country, okay, at all levels. This goes both private and public. And we see that Italy has the highest expenditure being doled out to pensions for older people that have retired, okay? And we see the overall distribution of many, many different countries here. Okay, that's what that's all about right there. And so we're having to rethink Social Security, okay? And so there's a discussion here about the Chinese experiment, okay? Where people are expected to stay longer, okay? And the real big issue too with China, with back in the day when they were trying to minimize their population explosion, was that there was not a replacement value in terms of the number of workers. I would say when they had the one-child policy, we have all these pensioners who need to be paid, and yet fewer and fewer people whose income could be taxed to go into the government supply to pay for the pension. So, so this is now really difficult, and it's a major concern with China. And now they're having to rethink their one-child policy. So they're actually encouraging reproduction, and they're asking pensioners to stay in the workforce longer, so that this is not so out of whack. Okay, so that's what that graph means. Okay, so now we're looking at in this chapter how to deal with the global economy and aging. Okay, and so as we can look through this right here, and we see whether or not people are investing in their own retirement. And these are all different countries, and we see a lot of countries didn't. You see in Sweden, a lot of older households, okay, invested in individual stocks or mutual funds, which are large bundles of stocks, okay, and as a result, they're going to be much better off than these people that have done here. So a solution is to get people to invest in their own future, and that's what this particular chapter is all about. We see in terms of our consumption, okay, that, and consumption is just all of our expenditures, that this does not go down as a function of age, okay, but our contribution in terms of labor income, we hit a major peak and then it was declining like so, okay. Alrighty, so that sums up everything, okay, and so what I want you to do is I want you to go through here and I want you to read through these, okay, and understand this concept of needing to invest in your own future, okay, creating financial tools, as it indicates right here, to accommodate the changing world, okay, and that's what this is all about right here, okay. And these financial tools are we're going to talk about in depth when we get to, I'm going to move my head out of the way here. This part right here. And so these are the financial tools that are available to us as Americans, and the different types of incentives that are being created in terms of tax sheltering to ensure that we all save for our own. And so we're going to go through all this when we get into that section of the course. I don't want to jump the gun too much. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back here. Okay, and we're going to go back here. And this is, again, where I'm going to put the video. Again, the reminder on the quizzes is you have to stay on top of them, okay? Because the quizzes, while they're all available right now, so you can go ahead, they do not stay open all semester, okay? So all the quizzes in week 1 will close at the end of the week. So you really need to get in there and take those. And again, just open up the file like I did, and have a couple browsers open so you can address that. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So we're going to get into the U.S. Demographics and the trends in terms of economy and the trends in terms of caregiving and things like this, and social trends on the next lecture. All right. See you next time.